citizens of Earth. Welcome to Accelerativ Thrust, the first official podcast of the Accelerativ Thrust. Yes, this is something that I've had in the works, that I've been saying for like 2 months now that I'm going to do, and here it is finally, ladies and gentlemen. Episode number 1 of the Accelerativ Thrust podcast. First and foremost, before I get this all kicked off and everything, I'd like to thank Carl Bush. He's a dude who I've known since high school, and he's the one who actually directed me to the hosting website that this is going to be available through, Transistor. And I'm not really 100% sure. I'm really new at this whole thing, and I'm going to find out some more info from Carl, because the way that I process info that is explained to me is nothing like what it used to be. Not that it was remarkable in the past, but from what I understand, this podcast is going to be available on Spotify, iTunes, and also YouTube, because I am going to post it on the YouTube channel, Accelerativ Thrust. You'll probably be seeing more of that than anything on that channel right now. I'm kind of I'm not doing a lot of album reviews lately for, a couple of reasons. Number one, I've been unproductive quite a bit lately. I have to just admit that. But also, I haven't really had any interest in doing album reviews lately. I've been watching some other channels, such as The Needle Drop. Of course, Anthony Fantano. He's been in the album review game on YouTube for years. I've been watching Mike Seatown a lot. He does some excellent, he's part of a hip hop, review team, you could call it. And they have a YouTube channel called Dead End Hip Hop. And, he also does his own channel where he's actually very well versed in a lot of different styles of music, and he does a really great job of talking about his record collections. And basically, I've surrendered to the fact that I just think that there's other people that do the album review thing, and there's a lot of people, and they all do it really great. And so I kind of want to take the Accelerativ Thrust YouTube channel into a different direction. And I'm not really quite sure what direction that's going to be. But in the meantime, I'm going to be doing these podcasts. I really like the podcast medium. I did a podcast many years ago, and it was kind of a failed one. But it wasn't failed, because I did like 13 episodes and got them up, but I didn't go past the 13 episodes. But anyway, this is going to be a little bit different than the YouTube channel, in that the main focal point that I'm probably going to be talking about at the end of the day is going to be music, but it's not just going to be music. I'm going to talk about a lot of different subjects, and I'm going to have a lot of guests. And rather than call them interviews, I actually prefer to use the word conversations in this situation. And the idea that I have is that I am going to, every guest that I have on the podcast, I am going to talk with them about a specific subject, whether I pick it or whether the guest picks it. That's something that we're just going to have to reach in the hat and draw out for in the future. But I like that aura of kind of uncertainty and, I guess, spontaneity. I can't even talk. I'm just going to call it spontaneous, even though that doesn't finish the sentence properly because apparently I can't pronunciate words anymore or pronounce words anymore. I don't even know what, like, if I'm even human anymore at this point. I mean, everything that's been going on in the country and the world, it's really been an eerie feeling just all around society collapsing and everything like that. But then at the same time, you hold on to hope, and you just kind of feel like, one day everything's going to be okay. At least I do, or at least I try to. It's hard. It's hard in these trying times for sure. But anyway, what you can expect from this podcast is exactly what I just explained. I'm gonna be doing these ramblings probably for the first 10 minutes, and then I'll transition into if I have a guest. Not every episode is probably going to have a guest, but if I have a guest, then I will transition into that after about 10 minutes of just talking, BSing like I am right now. So the guest, the very first guest on this podcast is Alex Crist from Closet Witch. I think I made a little joke, and he says he gets it a lot, where I was like, "Are you related to Jesus?" And and he was he just said that he gets that all the time, and we're just screwing around, man. We're just bros having a time, having the time of our lives, just joking around. That's what guys do, man. We screw around with each other, right? But anyway, Alex is a really good guy. I first met him, it's probably been about 10 years at this point. It doesn't seem like it. Time is just going by so fast, so quickly nowadays. I remember I was watching the Minutemen documentary, We Jam Econo, which is a very great documentary, great music documentary about a really amazing band. All of you guys, well, not all of you, but I'm assuming that a good portion of you probably know who Minutemen is. Maybe not. But they were just an incredible band, and the documentary was great. But there was and I don't remember who they were interviewing. I don't think it was one of the members of I don't think it was Mike Watt or George, the two surviving members of the Minutemen. But it was somebody who said that back in the 80s, time used to go by so slow. And that got me thinking, is there a possibility that time is something that can be adjusted through the way that we interact? Because I know that when I sit down and I look at things on my phone or my computer, 6 hours feels like 2 minutes sometimes. And it does seem like when I was 7 years old in 1987, before we had access to all of these things, it does seem like time did go by slow and people were taking their time growing up. So that just struck me as very interesting. And so 10 years ago when I met Alex Crist feels to me like a year ago. And I could go back to 20 years ago, and that just feels like a lifetime. So anyway, that didn't make any sense at all. I completely contradicted myself. That was not what I meant to say. Because 10 years ago, wait, maybe it was what I meant to say. I don't know. I'm gonna quit talking. Take it as it is, ladies and gentlemen. Who cares? We're all humans. We interpret things how we want to. But anyway, that's one of the things to embrace is that we all make mistakes. So Alex and I, we met each other probably about 10 years ago. He was in a band called MULDOON'S Clever Girls. And him and Royce from the band MULDOON'S Clever Girls have went on to form the awesome Closet Witch with my good friends Corey and Molly. Royce was the drummer of MULDOON'S and Alex's bandmate. And he's also been in other projects, including another band called Piss Exorcist, and he's just an all-around great guy. So we had a conversation about Closet Witch and what they're up to, and rock and roll conspiracies, and it was a really, really good time and a really great conversation. All right, I'm gonna quit rambling here, and I am going to let you hopefully enjoy my conversation with Alex Crist of Closet Witch. Hey, Alex.
Hey, I'm trying to figure out. I don't see you.
I don't see. Okay, now I see you. I think I've got my video off. Hold on. Yeah, here's my video right here. Can you see me now?
No, but I can definitely hear you, so it's not a big deal.
Okay, yeah.
Now I see you.
Oh, now you see me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. How you doing, man?
Not too bad. Just grab a chair real quick. Are we putting the video in this?
No. Nope, this is strictly...
Just audio?
Yeah, this is strictly just audio, yes.
Cool, because I'm going to be smoking.
Well, that is a good fair warning.
But how you been, man?
Oh, I've been doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad. Trying to stay busy at work, but with everything going on, it's kind of hard to keep a steady flow.
Yeah, it's really difficult right now for everybody, I think. I've been really unproductive the last, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I've been going through my Spotify playlist, and I've been making, full discography playlists of bands that I probably should have been into over the past few years growing up, but that I never really, for whatever reason, whether I just didn't, I don't know, for whatever reason, I never got into them. And so I'm discovering a lot of new music right now that I'm kind of kicking myself for not being into this whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
definitely.
And so, some examples are Tom Waits, the band Flipper, Jawbreaker. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those artists or not.
Definitely Flipper and Jawbreaker, but I'd be lying if I said I was I knew a lot about them.
Sure.
Jawbreaker's a band that I've definitely needed to do a deep dive into.
Yeah, that's kind of how I've been too.
Kind of a legendary band, is it? I might be mixing them up.
Yeah, no, they're definitely influential. Actually, if you go back and listen to the stuff that they were doing in between 1990 and 1995, it's definitely one of those situations where it's I can't believe that somebody was making this kind of music during that era, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, and so you definitely hear their influence in a lot of new bands in that sort of grittier sort of pop punk type stuff,
Yeah,
for sure.
I definitely do that, man.
How you been, man?
Not bad. Just trying to stay busy. We've been kind of taking some time off. It's just been kind of spiking a little bit too much for us. So we took a couple weeks off. I should have been writing the whole time, but I wasn't. And so just been working and staying busy, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's kind of, that's just what is going on with a lot of people right now, because it's just a lot of uncertainty right now, and not much has changed other than the fact that there are people out there protesting to open back up.
Even get me started. It was almost like May 1st, everybody was just like, yeah, COVID's over. And it's like, okay, I mean, if that's what you think, but...
Right.
I just went to the store yesterday, and it was like all the shelves were wiped out. It was like day one again, so...
Yep.
I haven't been digging too... I went to one store, so I didn't, like, check out, like, Hy-Vee or anything else, so... I wasn't panicking, but it's already like, okay, we're doing this again, and all the toilet paper's gone. It's just a fan aisle now for us. They don't even have the toilet paper aisle.
Yeah, at this point, it almost seems like we're just going to repeat this cycle every 2 or 3 months.
Oh yeah.
So
they're opening like racing down here, and that makes me pretty nervous.
Yeah, they actually in the town that is right up from where we live, West Liberty. I heard, I don't know if this is true or not, but I had heard that they're going to be doing races there as well.
No, I think it's statewide. Everybody's doing it. So I know the whole crew I'm working with is going down. So I don't know. Monday will be a lot of washing hands and disinfecting desk after desk for sure. So
absolutely. It's insane right now. But yeah, so the last time we talked about that Closet Witch complete discography, and you mentioned that you guys are kind of taking a hiatus right now.
Well, just not really out of choice. Yeah.
Right, yeah, exactly. It's kind of like right now it's like a forced hiatus for like every band, every musical artist.
I'm writing a bunch right now, but it's just... There was kind of just a scare in the Muscatine area, so we were just like, let's take 2 weeks off just to make sure everybody's healthy, and then we'll see what's up. But I think we're going to also take this weekend off too, so it'll be kind of like a month off so far. But we've been writing an EP and another split with our friends in Whelm we're going to do here shortly.
Sweet, that's what I was going to ask, if you were doing any writing, so that's good to hear. At least, hopefully when this thing, and let's be honest, if this thing gets us back to any sort of normalcy, we have some new Closet Witch stuff to look forward to, so that's awesome.
Yeah, we got the plan before everything hit. We were going to do 4 releases this year all together, where it was, 5, where it was the Discog, the Race Trader split, the split with Whelm, Korupskaya, and then we're doing an EP. That was supposed to come out and be done this year regardless, so now we just had more time to like focus on it, and so we went back and we had a version of the Whelm split that we thought was okay, and we toured on it for like a couple days, but then when we got back to the practice space, it was kind of just like, we were kind of writing in a rush a little bit, just to kind of, we only have so much time in between tours to really sit down and like get stuff done. So we kind of decided to revisit it. So I'm kind of rewriting some of those tracks now, and then we're gonna go meet up with Luke at the end of June and track everything.
Cool. So who did you say that was going to be a split with?
There's 2 coming out right now. One with Whelm, which is a band out of LA. They have that. There's that kid that was in that. I don't know if you saw that band, like Atypical on Netflix, and he was in that horror movie that's super good, It Follows.
Oh, okay, It Follows, yeah.
Yeah, he's in a couple bands actually, and it's one of his bands. And their guitar player did that Midnight Gospel show that's on Netflix right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so he was like one of the screenwriters, or storyboard writers for that.
Oh, okay, so, yeah.
Yeah, but their band's ripping, so we're going to do a split with them, and then there's a band in the UK called Korupskaya, which is really fucking good, that we've already tracked those, but they're kind of in a little bit of a stalemate right now getting their record finished because of everything going on, so it's just kind of up in the air. Everybody's sides are just about done, so it's a question of like when this virus ends that we can move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is the question that everybody is asking right now for sure. So how did you get hooked up with these bands that you're doing splits with?
Kuroskaya has some of the members run like, man, Corey would be able to explain this a lot better than I. But I think it's Circus and Macabre Records, which we've done a bunch of releases with. One of the members runs that, and it's a guy who Corey knew back with like Trendy Bastards.
Oh,
and
okay.
So he's known these guys for a while. That's how that got hooked up. And then Molly ended up going to school with the kids in Whelm.
Oh, wow.
So they've known each other for a long time. So it's just kind of like just something we wanted to get done and do. And we're all in these bands, so why not work together?
Sweet, yeah.
So it's been a cool experience. But then like after that, it's pretty exciting to like do something that'll just be ours. So we just finished writing the EP that we'll probably release at the end of the year, which will just be like a single-sided 7-inch, and we have some like interesting ideas like how we'll release that a little bit differently from everything else. So
cool.
That'll be cool. I was actually just listening to those tracks before you called, so I'm really excited. There's some neat elements in there that we've never done before, and so it'll be cool.
Awesome. I'll be looking forward to that for sure. So the idea that I had for this podcast, and this was kind of inspired by the last conversation that we had that I scrapped, just so everyone knows. We actually had a conversation, what was it, 2 or 3 weeks ago or something like that, Alex?
It feels like forever ago.
Yeah, it was a long...
It feels like it's been like a year. But,
it really does.
It's been too long ago.
Yeah, and I scrapped it because of the bad audio. But anyway, so the idea that I had was that I came up with since then is that the guests that I have on here, we will discuss a specific subject, something that maybe I find interesting, maybe you find interesting. I'm not sure how you feel about rock and roll conspiracies, Alex.
I guess I don't know very many, and I feel like that we're gonna just kind of repeat our conversation
a little bit.
You even threw it at me, and I was like, man, I kind of don't even remember this conspiracy at all. But the only one that I like definitely have embedded in my brain is the Avril Lavigne clone one. That's the one that stands out to me, I guess. I'm sure there's better conspiracies if I thought about it.
Sure.
So I guess, yeah, the Courtney Love one would probably take the cake, but I don't know. The Avril Lavigne one's always stood out to me because it's so, like, it's so just out there to me. Like, somebody thought that, or thinks that, well, they have reason to believe with the proof that they found, they believe that Avril Lavigne's a clone, and I find that amazing. Or been swapped out. Not a clone, sorry, but has been traded out.
Sure.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's such a all these are just outlandish, and there's when you actually go into the rabbit hole of rock and roll conspiracies, you realize there's so many more out there. For example, I just discovered that there's a conspiracy theory going around that Stevie Wonder isn't blind. Like,
whoa,
yeah, yeah, wouldn't that be wild? And
like not too like. I don't know. I wouldn't be like super mind blown with that because of this level of success and talent and everything. Like it wouldn't. I'd be like, oh dang, that's fucked up. Like why did he do that? But at the same time, it wouldn't be like if I really found out that Avril Lavigne was swapped out. I'm gonna circle back every conversation back to Avril Lavigne.
Yeah,
that would blow my mind if you like proved it. If it was like here's both Avrils. The old and the new, I'd seriously I'd lose my shit.
Yeah, that would be crazy. There's so many of them too. Like, you ever heard of the rap group Jurassic 5?
I think we talked about.
Did we talk about this?
But I don't remember what the conspiracy was. So I just remember the name because of Jurassic Park, and you were like Jurassic 5.
Yeah. Jurassic 5. They had a minor hit called Quality Control in the early 2000s. And the conspiracy theory is that There's like 7 rappers. It's like a rap collective or rap group from, I think, California or something. And the conspiracy theory with that one is that they're all actually dead rappers. That
Oh yeah, like Tupac and all that.
yeah, Tupac, Biggie Smalls, and I don't remember Eazy-E, Old Dirty. Well, I don't know if Old Dirty Bastard was dead by the time that they kind of came to existence, but yeah, there's like this whole website where, you know, they take timelines and match them up with like, okay, this is when Tupac died, this is when Biggie died, and this is when Jurassic 5 released their first EP, and just weird shit like that.
So what happened to Jurassic 5 since? Like what?
They put out a couple of other records, and actually, I mean, I'm a fan of Jurassic 5. And I know that there's one of the members who I think is the one that is believed to be Tupac now has a YouTube channel, and he does like these daily, and I can't remember what his name is, but I know like one of the other rappers by the name of Charlie Tuna. That's his actual name. He's actually a hell of a rapper, dude. He reminds me of like sort of like Chuck D from Public Enemy and stuff like that.
Okay.
But like their sound isn't like Public Enemy. It's like their sound is really like kind of golden age boom bap sort of, it totally reminds you of like the alternative quote unquote hip hop from like, like Tribe Called Quest or De La Soul or something like that kind of. But Charlie Tuna has a really like commanding deep voice, like Chuck D kind of has, like bass, how low, that sort of thing, like that really like how low can you go, and death row, what a brother know, like I mean he's really got that, like it just sounds like he's yelling at you to get your shit together, you know what I mean? And that's kind of how Charlie Tuna sort of, his style reminds me of that. They've released a couple of records, but I think if I were the guy who runs the YouTube channel, if I remember right, I think his name is like Akil or Alik the MC or something like that. I don't know. I'm sure that if you looked up Jurassic 5 on YouTube, you would probably come across it. He's got long hair and dreads. And yeah, I think he's the one that's supposed to be Tupac. So,
yeah. But this has probably been since debunked, correct? I mean,
I would assume so.
Those legends were in supergroups. Surely it would have been huge.
Well, I mean, the thing is if it's the way that I think of conspiracy theories, and this might be a little bit different than maybe some other people do, but I mean, they would do everything in their power to make it not debunked, or they would debunk it to make it seem like it wasn't true. But at the same time, like, we really have no idea what the hell's going on as human beings. you know what I mean?
That's true.
It
just dawned on me, is the Cobain conspiracy that you want to talk about the one with Weezer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's how I feel. I feel on the same level with Jurassic 5 and the one you want to talk about.
Yeah.
Mainly because, well, this might be mean, because I'd say Weezer's really successful and did some amazing releases. I've never been like a super fan of Weezer.
Right.
But all I'm saying is, like, if he were to make the transition, like, well, maybe I'm talking about it too soon, and you want to explain it before we get to it. But
no, I want to hear your point of view on this.
I just it seems kind of silly, but I guess it would kind of make sense for Kurt Cobain to do that because he's always hated the limelight. That the one thing he never wanted was the fame. Just wanted to play in a rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm.
And so when Nirvana exploded, that's when I personally believe we're judging from like his writing and his journals that were released later. That's where I thought his depression really took a hold of him. If you do believe he committed suicide.
Sure.
That's a whole different conspiracy. But just saying, it's a very interesting like route where it's just like the fame of Nirvana was like so much bigger. Or would you argue that Weezer and Nirvana are like on the same playing field?
Well, I think that at this point, I would say, I mean, Nirvana is definitely the one that had the most impact on the mainstream music industry in a short amount of time. I believe that the theory is that the reason why Kurt Cobain faked his death in this situation, this is all assuming that this is true, the reason why he would have done that is to actually kind of get out of the limelight that was Nirvana at the time, because so much negativity was following Nirvana, from the heroin use to Kurt Cobain's depression and things like that. And also he wanted to write, I guess, poppier music that wouldn't have fit with Nirvana at the time. I think that that's kind of the logic that some of the people are kind of like following with this.
So just following that theory and just from your personal, this is just strictly talking about the conspiracy.
Sure.
Do you feel that Weezer would be Kurt Cobain's answer to a poppier sound?
I don't know. That's a very good question. If you've done any reading about Nirvana and Kurt Cobain growing up, you would know that Kurt Cobain not only was heavily influenced by really abrasive punk like Big Black, Fugazi, Butthole Surfers, Jesus Lizard. I mean, all these bands, there's countless influences. Flipper that he mentioned. But he also made it very apparent that he was also a big fan of the Beatles. He liked Beat Happening, which that was kind of a twee pop. Are you familiar with Beat Happening at all, Alex?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not.
Very twee pop sort of influenced. If you know, very like poppy, like indie rock type stuff. And I guess he also liked stuff like REM and things like that. In fact, I guess Michael Stipe from REM was actually going to do a musical collaboration with Kurt before he died.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
It would have been interesting to hear for sure. So I don't really know. But
oh, sorry.
Oh no, that's okay. What were you gonna say?
Well, the transition everybody's different, of course, so it's hard to put your mindset as somebody else's, but it would kind of remind me about the jump, with a similar jump in that direction that's happened to somebody else, would be like Bikini Kill to La Tigra. Yeah,
that would be kind of I mean, definitely like, but you could even like say like to a certain extent, bands within the actual bands. Like, for example, you could kind of say that about Green Day. I mean, Green Day from the beginning were a pretty poppy band to begin with. However, the recordings on the first couple of albums anyway. I mean, Dookie and Insomniac obviously had good production, but they were still unquestionably sort of a pop punk band to something like American Idiot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, from like punk, like what I would say garage punk to full production.
Exactly.
Where, like they could where there was symphony parts in American Idiot, if I recall correctly, and
yes,
a lot of production value was put into. But I mean, rightfully so. I mean, guys were making how many sales on records? Yeah, do what you want. But the interesting question though isn't really the progression of a band beginning to, especially like a band like Green Day, because their history's shit. Are they when did they start? 90s or 80s?
I think that they formed in 88 or 89, about the same time that Nirvana did, actually.
So let's say like 30 years, you know, like that progression makes sense to me.
Yeah.
To open new ground. But what we're kind of, I'm just having so much fun now with this conversation.
Yeah, it's great.
We're talking about how many situations have like somebody made a really good band and then left. Like, okay, so Ozzy Osbourne came to mind with Black Sabbath to Ozzy in his solo. So like his jump, even Ozzy's jump was kind of like poppy in a way compared to Sabbath, is all I'm saying.
Very
like,
much so, yeah.
Yeah, so like that's my question is like, okay, so what would Kurt Cobain's poppier answer, if that was the route, if that was the answer, would that have been Weezer? And then comparing it to other people is really interesting.
Yeah, that's a very interesting
people that have done that.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I guess like for me, like that's the one question, that would be the $1 million question for me is like, if Kurt Cobain actually felt that Nirvana, for whatever reason, was not poppy enough for him or something like that, for lack of a better way to put it, at the time, why wouldn't he just maybe try and push Nirvana into a different direction themselves rather than, okay, I'm going to go through the trouble of faking my own death and, start a band.
Well, it was pretty vocally known right before his death that Nirvana was breaking up. Like, they were finishing up tours, and it was supposed to be dead and done.
Yep, absolutely.
So, I feel like there was more than just just Kurt being like, no, I'm done. It's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it was a 3-way or a 4-way. I'm not sure how much that, because they performed as a 4-piece live, so I don't know how much say that individual had in the band, but maybe it was just all across the board differences.
Well, Pat Smear, actually, the second guitarist that they had during the In Utero tour, he actually was from what I understand, the last person in the band that heard anything from Kurt before he died. And it was actually a missed call. And it was Kurt leaving a message on his answering machine. I don't even believe that, from what I understand, and I could be wrong about this, but from what I understand, I don't think Chris and Dave even heard anything from Kurt, like, in those last days at all.
Damn.
So that's an interesting, that's always been an interesting piece of history for me. I know that Pat Smear was heavily, he was from the band The Germs. Who were like a seminal 70s, 80s punk band that Nirvana looked up to, like all of the members of Nirvana looked up to. And so I would suspect that I know that if I had like Ian MacKaye in my band, I would be like, you can, I'll take any piece of goddamn advice you tell me. You know what I mean? Like, Like, it would be, so I don't know if I don't know. That's an interesting question. As far as that goes. Yeah, this is all very, very interesting to sit here and kind of go down this rabbit hole here.
So, okay, and I guess, like, now my other question is, like, the last tour that for some reasons, maybe I can look it up real quick. I'm going to type on my keyboard. Hopefully this won't, like, sound terrible, but I know some of them that were on it. Okay, yeah, actually, that's so funny. The Hella Mega tour was the last thing. Went from, oh shit, maybe this was actually postponed. But anyway, just reading over really fast. It is Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer.
Right. Yes.
And not saying that that's a bad lineup, but asking the question: is that what Kurt Cobain? How many years later would he want to be doing this right now?
Yeah.
I feel like living the legacy that was left behind with his journals and everything, and like we know so much about his personality, but also know so little too. You can make that argument right back, but it's just interesting. Would that be what he would want? And then so also like this also poses the idea that he's like abandoned his family. Which he doesn't seem the kind of person to do that.
That is very true. That is something that, like, in all of the accounts that I've read of this and other conspiracies involving rock stars, because honestly, every dead rock star, just like everything that happens nowadays, there's always a conspiracy to go with it, it seems. But that is something that, is never taken into account. Like, why would he abandon Courtney and Frances Bean Cobain? You know, I actually wanted to have Frances Bean Cobain play bass in a project with me, but I couldn't find her email address. Wouldn't that be interesting?
That would be interesting.
Yeah, just like, I mean, the idea would be like, okay, let's play like a basement show here in like Muscatine, you know, and let's have like Frances Bean Cobain, our so where's your bassist? Oh, her limo's a little late. She just landed, you know, like I just think that would be so funny. Like our bassist just happens to be the daughter of this like really famous rock star. And, I think I might have actually like said this to Molly when she was playing in the band with me, the Disgruntled Noise Box with me. I think I might have mentioned this, like, that it would be funny to just start a band and have like Frances Bean Cobain, even though I don't even know if she plays bass. The idea was just so absurd to me, though, that I just thought it would be funny. Anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there for a distraction from what we're really talking about. But anyway, where were we before I trailed off on that?
I just posed the question of like, do you really think that Kurt Cobain would, with the personality we know, would abandon his family?
I guess when you put it like that, it really sounds very unlikely. But when you put it like, he wanted to escape the machine that was Nirvana, then it can kind of make sense. But I actually found a website here. It's actually called riverscobain.com. Have you heard of this website, Alex?
No. Let's do it.
All right, let's.
Wait, hold on. What's it called? Let's do this together.
Okay,
riverscobain.com.
Yes, and there's actually now it's hard for me to tell if this is a satirical website or not. If the person writing this is just interested in this, like we are at this point, or if he actually honestly believes this. I'm not really sure. I mean, anymore. I mean, what is real and what isn't? You know what I mean? But anyway, so yeah, this whole website, and I encourage everyone listening actually to check this out if you find this interesting at all. And I don't know how old this website is, but yeah, no, the first thing you go to is like "Welcome to the Truth," and it talks about. But what I want to, what I'm interested in, are you at the website now, Alex?
I definitely am.
Okay. What I am interested in is the theory and the timeline. And
what caught me was goat punishment.
Okay, do you know? I actually know what goat punishment is. Do you know what goat punishment is?
I do not.
Okay, so let's click on that real quick. So, Goat Punishment was Weezer's side project during their official hiatus at the turn of the century. See timeline. They performed a small handful of shows in the Southern California area, consisting of Nirvana covers, Oasis, and original Weezer songs.
What?
Yeah, so So not only is Kurt Cobain Rivers Cuomo, he also is one of the Gallagher brothers from Oasis. So what we need to do is we need to figure out which Gallagher brother from Oasis he is. Yeah, this is really...
Sorry, so that's true?
Yeah, yeah.
Of Oasis played in the band, or it's another conspiracy that a member...
No. Goat Punishment was a side project of Weezer. So it was the band Weezer performing under the name Goat Punishment. And they performed some shows under the name, because if you remember right, if you look at here, it has a listing of all the shows. Now, show number 1 was November 1998. I'm not sure how well versed, like, do you listen to, like, Weezer at all? Do you like Weezer? I mean, just out of curiosity.
Like, I know the hits.
Okay.
I've never, I've deep dived on a couple records. They're not for me, but the hits are good.
Sure.
I mean, Hash Pipe is amazing. That song's so good.
So this was in 1998. What was happening in the world of Weezer at this point was they had 2 years before that, they released Pinkerton, which at the time was a commercial failure. A lot of people hated it, including the rock critics that now put it up on a pedestal as being like this really great, influential, historic album now. But in November 1998, everybody thought Weezer was pretty much done. So I guess what was going on is they just kind of said, let's just perform under a different name and do some Nirvana covers, is what it kind of looks like to me. Because they didn't release the Green album, which has that song Hash Pipe that you were referring to, until 2002. And from what I understand...
I was looking up the track listing, and the only one I recognize is El Scorcho.
Okay, yeah. El Scorcho is... the thing is like, when Pinkerton first dropped, the Blue album was super successful, because, of course, it had Undone the Sweater Song and Buddy Holly and Say It Ain't So, all 3 major hits. But when Pinkerton dropped, it was such a raw... Like, I don't know if you've ever heard this album, but it's...
I have.
Okay, it's very raw compared to the first album, very uncommercial sounding. It's actually kind of a parallel between Nevermind and In Utero, because Nevermind was a glossy hit that made Nirvana rock stars almost, well, not necessarily overnight, but I mean, very quickly. And then In Utero was produced by Steve Albini, who at the time was somebody that was like, the record industry, the mainstream record industry was like, yeah, you can't produce records on a major label with Steve Albini, you know? And so, like, that's kind of an interesting parallel, because the first album from Weezer was produced by Rick Ocasek. And then the second album, Pinkerton, was self-produced by Weezer. They decided to produce it themselves. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Pixies, but the second album from the Pixies, called Surfer Rosa, is also highly, like, it's from that band, it's considered kind of like a classic, but it had a very, like, rough sort of production. And I know that one of the reasons why Kurt Cobain wanted to choose Steve Albini was because he liked the production that he did on that record. And I heard that Weezer wanted a rougher sound for their second record, because they like kind of the rawness of, like, records by the Pixies and stuff like that. So anyway, so yeah.
Two notes real quick.
Yeah.
So I was super curious, and I went to the Pinkerton wiki, which you should go to real quick.
Okay.
Because there's 2 notes. It's wild looking at the critic reception, how you said it, like bad, average reviews, but then the legacy, the greatest albums of all time. That's so wild that happened.
You know,
here's number 2. Number 2 was, I never agreed that Rivers looked like Kurt Cobain until this photo on this page of him handing out, like, some kind of flyer for Pinkerton. He looks just like fucking Kurt Cobain.
Are you kidding me?
Look fucking picture, dude.
Where is this? Because I'm on.
If go to Wiki, go to the Pinkerton album Wiki page.
Okay, yep, I'm here.
And right below the little sidebar on the right, there's a photo popping up for me on my page. I'm going to full.
Okay, there might be a difference here because I'm on my phone. So I wonder if maybe the photo is not popping up because of that. Okay, got it. Where it's,
he's in Thailand, I think. Is that what it just said?
It says he's in Thailand.
I don't know why it popped up. Well, hold on. Yeah, the photo. Hold on. I'm going to send you a link to this photo right now.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just like so mind blown.
Yeah.
The whole time I was like, well, they don't even fucking look alike. And then I saw this photo.
Like, okay, so how do they? Well, okay, I'll look at the photo and then I'll kind of.
I just sent it to you on Facebook.
Okay, I got it. All right, so let's take a look at this. He's in Thailand. Come on, download, stupid phone. You know I hate phones.
He dyed his hair.
Oh shit!
He looks like if Kurt Cobain dyed his hair black. It's kind of fucked up. Like,
kind of does actually. I don't really see a lot of similarities in the facial features. But definitely, like, in the hair. But, yeah, kind of in the facial features.
I just see it, and if he had the money, he might have done some work.
That's true.
Okay, let's get back to the website.
Okay. No, that's okay. That's very interesting. Okay, so, all right. So let's get back to the website, and let's read the theory together.
Okay.
How's that sound?
That's great.
All right, so the theory... let's check out this backstory. I'm interested in the theory and the timeline, the visual evidence, and that's something that I feel. The visual evidence, though, that might actually. What if we go there and they show that picture you were just talking about?
That's the first thing. The little gif of him drinking right now. That doesn't look like Kurt Cobain to me. That looks just. I see rivers every time.
Oh, are you in the visual evidence right now?
No, not the theory. There's a little gif.
Yeah. No, that totally does not. I agree. That doesn't look like Kurt Cobain. That looks like Rivers Cuomo.
So if we're saying the theory's true, then my argument is that he had to have had reconstructive surgery of some kind.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that's like, okay, this in a much less crazy way reminds me of that conspiracy theory of Alex Jones or Bill Hicks is Alex Jones is actually Bill Hicks. Have you heard that one?
I've never heard that.
Okay,
before.
All right. Well, you know what? I'll have you back on for another episode, and we'll delve into that one because that one's wild too. So are you down?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No,
all right.
Blast right now.
Cool. Yeah.
When you dropped the website on me, that's when I was like, oh yeah, I'm in.
So it's like,
so awesome.
You want your evidence? You got it right here. I'll start doing Alex Jones.
And then I started like doing the Pinkerton dive, and I'm like, oh man, I'm starting to now I'm starting to see it. Okay, I'm opening my eyes. Before I was like, I'm not into this theory at all. But now I'm just like, okay, let's do this. Let's do theory.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to make a note of that. Alex Jones, Bill Hicks, Alex Crist, we are going to do this. All right. Alex Christ. Do you mind if I call you Alex Christ?
I'd rather you didn't, but if you want to.
Okay. Well, then I could ask you, are you related to Jesus?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
Do you actually get that? Seriously?
Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, this is great. Okay, so, all right, we're gonna read this. Do you want to read it, or do you want me to read it, Alex?
You go.
Okay.
Is you.
All right. The theory. Okay, so this is the theory, the backstory. So we're gonna go down this rabbit hole. Okay. The theory all starts on the day Kurt Donald Cobain was brought into this world. I believe Donald was his father's name, so that's the story of his middle name.
Well, this theory starts when he was born?
Apparently, that's what it says. So Kurt Cobain comes out, and it's like, that'd be funny if his dad was like, I don't know, something's odd about this boy. I think he might, kill himself and then, fake his own death and then become the frontman for Weezer in the future. Dude.
Arguably slightly lesser successful band.
Turns out that his parents are time travelers. All right.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, the jump forward 20 years later to okay, all right. So 20 years later to 1987. That's okay. That's a total explanation right there. Kurt forms his band Nirvana in his garage. Okay, all right, I get where they're going with this. The wording sounds kind of ridiculous, but they're just telling the history. Okay, in Aberdeen, Washington. From here, the band went on to release 3 studio albums, Bleach, Nevermind, and In Utero. Released in 1993, that's In Utero. 1 year after the formation of Weezer, wait, that doesn't make any sense. It says 1 year after the formation of Weezer down south in L.A.
1993.
But am I reading that sentence wrong? Because it doesn't sound right. Anyway.
It done those 3 releases by 1993.
Okay, gotcha.
The year after the formation of Weezer.
Gotcha.
So in 1992, Weezer formed.
Gotcha. Okay, so at this point, Nirvana is thriving off the international success of Nevermind. Wait a minute. That doesn't... It just said In Utero was released in 1993, and then at that point, they were thriving off the international success of Nevermind. Wouldn't that mean that the success wagon of Nevermind would be over and In Utero would be the new thing? I guess In Utero probably wasn't received well by critics when it first came out either.
Yeah, I don't mean to be that guy, but that was like... I don't know. Nevermind was a legendary record.
Oh, very much so. It was like, I mean, come on, man. Nevermind. Anybody who says Nevermind is not a great record, I don't trust them.
It's like almost perfect for what it was supposed to be.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why I could kind of get what they're saying. I could see it as like I would still argue it's still an international success. So
yeah.
I think it's probably still correct.
I think probably, yeah. And then they were thinking that nothing can stop them, it says. So nothing can stop Nirvana. From here, Cobain fell into some serious mental issues, making himself purposely overdose on drugs, resulting in a coma. I remember that when that happened. It was literally only a month or 2 before he actually died. And there was actually...
Hold up. I am not aware of this coma.
Okay, he was
How long did he go under?
Well, he was in London, I believe, and the official story that came out was that he overdosed on prescription pills and some champagne in the hotel room, and he was in a coma. And I remember that there was actually news reports that Kurt Cobain may never be able to play guitar ever again when he comes to it. Like, they actually thought he was in some serious danger. Like, that he was going to suffer from, permanent brain damage. Because, I mean, that's and then I guess the whole, thing is that was, then it came out that was an accident, that he accidentally did that. But then there were some people that were like, nah, that was a suicide attempt. So one never knows. So I also want to make something else. This is another interesting sort of thing to throw in. Have you ever seen any of King Buzzo from the Melvins' takes on Kurt Cobain's mental issues?
No.
Now, Buzz Osborne was a childhood friend of Kurt Cobain's, and in fact, there's a lot of people say that kind of knew about Nirvana at that time in the scene that they were in. That Kurt Cobain, the Melvins, King Buzzo specifically, was a huge inspiration on Kurt to form a band. And King Buzzo, you can go to YouTube and you can kind of look up some stuff about this. I would also recommend watching that if you haven't seen it yet, the animated movie Montage of Heck about Kurt Cobain. That actually touches on a lot of his mental issues and a lot of his depression. King Buzzo actually came out in a couple of interviews and said that basically was bogus. It was basically bullshit, and that Kurt never suffered from depression until basically he married Courtney Love. Is basically like what he said, and he became famous, and that maybe he did suffer from depression, but it wasn't like to the point where he was going to kill himself until it became, until he became famous and started drifting further and further away from that lifestyle that he knew in, like, say, the local scene or whatever, So, I mean, there's actually some differing views on just exactly how depressed Kurt Cobain. That all plays into the conspiracy theory that he was murdered and he didn't, kill himself and things like that. But anyway, so moving on here.
Yeah, we're like 4 lines into this whole thing.
Like there's so many things here. Cobain fell into some serious mental issues, making himself purposely overdose on drugs, resulting in a coma, and attempting to get a hold of firearms. Those acts were put on hold by authorities, although on April 5th, Cobain was found dead in Seattle. For most, the story ends here. Cobain's legacy lives on forever. But some, the smart ones, I like how he puts the smart ones in there.
In italics, I love it.
Will look a little deeper, maybe to show some more pity for Cobain. Sure, he may have fallen into some bad drug habits. But after the encouragement and rehabilitation he needed, he was able to clean himself up and start a new life. Rather than attempting to continue the life he lived for 27 years, risking falling back into bad habits, Cobain decided that he wanted to completely start fresh, cutting his hair. well, they totally... Kurt Cobain cut his hair a lot, though. That wasn't the first time he cut his hair. Didn't you see the performance at the 92 Video Music Awards? He had a short haircut then, and that was right after Nevermind. I like how they're trying to pull the Metallica card on him, He cut his hair. Faking his death.
They don't even bring up that their faces don't look alike. So they're not going to put in reconstructive surgery into this. I'm a little disappointed.
Well, and they probably will. But hold on.
Okay, that's fair.
Fully devoting himself to his new persona of Rivers Cuomo. This all sounds so rad, dude. This.
Yeah, but this is the important part. We're at the evidence.
The evidence. So Rivers Cuomo was born on June 13th, 1970, making him approximately the same age as Cobain. No, what? What are you talking about? Kurt Cobain was born in 1967. How does that make him the same age?
I guess by 4 years. You could probably pull it off, but I just don't see how it's relevant, to be honest.
No, yeah, I don't either. One of the earliest known videos of Weezer performing was recorded in 1992. Features Cuomo with clearly long hair, much similar to Cobain's. Okay.
That did when I saw the photo, so I'm going to give that one a little bit of credit, but you're not reeling me in.
Yeah, no, 1990.
Work a little bit harder. Your evidence isn't solid.
Okay, but the other side of that is in 1992, that was literally the boom of the Nevermind tour.
So how would he have done this?
Yeah, why would he have been playing in some Weezer? So that would mean Weezer they didn't put out their first album until 1994. That means in 1992 they were playing probably bars and dives and clubs. Why would he be doing that in That doesn't even make any sense.
Okay, real quick, I'm going to ask a stupid question.
Okay.
Where's Weezer from?
Weezer, I think, are supposed to be from Wisconsin or something.
So you're also suggesting he's traveling between Seattle and Wisconsin?
Well, yeah, but that's all just made up, I'm sure.
Touring?
That's all made up. I'm sure that, The rest of the members of Weezer are
You're
just
saying the backstory of Weezer is fabricated?
well, I mean, that's I don't see any other possible like suggestion here. I mean, you know what I mean?
Also, I gotta ask, in this theory, does the rest of Weezer know?
Well, the rest of Weezer are in on it just as much as Kurt and Rivers. I mean, that's probably what it is.
More people are keeping their mouths shut about this.
That the other members of Weezer are just industry plants, maybe. Like, I don't know. I don't know where. That's a good question. Like, I feel like you and I, if we would have made up this theory, we would have done a much better job. If it's made up.
I feel like this theory is very loose.
Yeah.
But okay, there's more evidence. Let's.
All right, yeah. That doesn't make it any less. That doesn't make it any less interesting. That's for sure.
True that.
Cuomo boasts on Twitter and other media outlets about his love for Cobain's writing and performing style. He even keeps a book on the subject, which he often studies. I actually.
Okay. No, sorry.
I was just saying. I actually remember that. That actually has been pretty well known for a little while that Rivers Cuomo had like an appreciation for Kurt Cobain.
Okay, so Dan, would you ever have an appreciation for yourself where you keep your own like book and study your own book on yourself?
Well, now who says I haven't? No.
It just sounds a little weird.
Sounds
when you apply it to that they're the same person.
Sounds completely reasonable to me.
Okay, fair.
But that's a good point. That would be kind of fucked up. Like he's just,
why would you? Okay, real quick. Why would you need to study a book to be yourself?
Yeah, that's about yourself under a different name. Oh man, this is all rich. This is rich.
Okay.
Cuomo has gone on record with Rolling Stone to say that he was Nirvana's biggest fan. He says that he was so passionately in love with the music it made him feel sick. Wow, there's a lot of self-worship involved with this Kurt Cobain guy.
This doesn't fit, in my opinion, Kurt Cobain's persona, unless, like, you could argue, that when he became Rivers, he became a new person.
Yeah.
If that's the theory, like, he wiped his mind. Okay, is that, we haven't talked, is Kurt Cobain aware that he's Kurt Cobain?
That's a very good question. He could have been part of some sort of, one of those mind control programs or something. Maybe he's hypnotized by the.
But he would have to do that while touring with Nirvana. So that kind of. That theory would make a little bit more sense to me if it was like after his death, like Weezer officially popped up for the first time ever after his death.
Yes. Okay, so during Weezer's here's the goat punishment thing. We don't really need to go over that. We already talked about that. We covered that. So from 1997 to 2000, Cuomo performed a 6-song set of Nirvana covers under the name Goat Punishment, but apparently they did more. And then Cuomo has stated that Nirvana was one of Weezer's biggest influences. Okay, so
their evidence is just that dude's a really big Nirvana fan.
Yeah, that's pretty much it right there. I'm sold. I think that's all good enough for me. What about you, Alex?
What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I totally believe this now after reading all this.
I accidentally already clicked on timeline real quick.
Okay, yeah, no, that's fine because I purposely just clicked on timeline. Okay.
Okay, let's go over this.
All right, this is let's go through this timeline with no interruptions, and then we will talk about it afterwards.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Okay.
Sure.
February 20th, 1967, Kurt Cobain is born in Aberdeen, Washington. June 3rd, 1970, Rivers Cuomo is born in Manhattan, New York City, New York. What? December 1987, the band Nirvana forms in Aberdeen, Washington. September 24th, 1991, Nirvana's chart-topping album Nirvana hits the scene, taking the world by storm and sending Nirvana to number 1. February 14th, 1992, The band Weezer forms in Los Angeles, California. Maybe I'm wrong about them being from Wisconsin. September 21st, 1993. Nirvana's last studio album, In Utero, is released. April 5th, 1994. Kurt Cobain kills himself, shocking the whole world. May 10th, 1994. Weezer's debut album is released, shooting them to the top of the charts and putting them in the spotlight. 1997. Weezer goes on a 3-year-long hiatus in which their bassist Matt Sharp, industry plant, leaves the band. November 1998, the band, but with a new drummer, played their first show as alter ego Goat Bunny. What? A new drummer? Their bassist quit. From what I understand, Pat, the drummer, has always been with them. So I wonder if he meant new bassist. Played their first show as alter ego Goat Punishment, performing mostly Nirvana and Oasis cover. We need to find out which one of the Oasis brothers Kurt Cobain is as well, because that's obvious from this. December 2013, the theory is explained and made popular on Reddit. I like they included that. Oh, geez, this is all true. There's no argument. I mean, come on, like. You with me here, Alex?
So I have a couple questions.
Okay. All right.
So Kurt Cobain is born in 67.
Born in 67,
born
baby.
in 87. That's 20 years.
20 years,
so,
man.
I'm assuming that Kurt Cobain was in a band before Nirvana.
I would assume so.
Okay. So 1992, Rivers was born in 70, so how many years is that? 22?
Yep.
So I think it's safe to say that Rivers was in a band before Weezer.
Uh-huh.
And so, like, there's no... all I'm saying is, like, there's no... like, somebody knew Rivers before this happened. Like, he had a timeline before Kurt Cobain died.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense to me. Like, somebody knows Rivers from 1970.
There's another website that I came across one time that actually had every Nirvana show. Let me see if I can find it. Every Nirvana show documented with every Weezer show. And actually, it all kind of lined up with this theory that, like, okay, like there were... almost every show that Nirvana played did not overlap with anything that Weezer played, except there was one show. And I think it was like, I think Nirvana were somewhere all the way in like London or something, or overseas, and then Weezer were like in Chicago. Or let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I was just on it just to see.
Yeah, like somebody actually like...
Whoa. In 2005, Weezer toured with Foo Fighters. I can't believe that wasn't involved in this.
Oh, I'm sure that somebody had stuff to say.
Cried a little bit hearing Weezer cover Nirvana.
Because he knew that... Oh, man, that's... Dude, there you go. That's evidence. Why didn't he put that on the website? 2005, Dave Grohl cried when he heard Weezer covering Nirvana because he knew. There's also like some actual, like, there's other pieces that are kind of missing from this website. Because I also heard that another piece of the theory that a lot of people were kind of using as evidence was that Rick Ocasek, who was known as like one of the biggest producers, he actually was befriending Kurt before he died, and actually was talking about possibly producing the next Nirvana record. And one of the things that they were saying is that it was actually kind of odd for an up-and-coming band like Weezer, for instance, to have their first album produced by such a big producer. And that, I don't remember where I saw that. And so they were saying, well, Rick Ocasek maybe had a hand in like encouraging the transformation or whatever, But the thing about that is like, I don't know what they're talking about, because there's a lot of other bands that they get signed, and then the record label hooks them up with a great producer, like a big producer. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the first time that that's happened. Like, Weezer is not exclusive to being like a band whose first album was produced by like some major producer. So that never really made too much sense. But it is an interesting theory. I mean, you know.
Sorry. Yeah, I got some other points.
Sure.
I'm still on this. I'm still on
this. Sure.
Another thing is April 5th, 1994, Kurt Cobain kills himself.
Sure.
May 10th, 1994, Weezer's debut album is released. That gives him 35 days just for the release date, not to mention anything that happened before that. So, like, I'm sure Weezer's probably already on tour before the album even dropped.
Oh yeah, so more than likely, yes.
Act and like get this all together. That's insane. That's
is
a very short time. Not to mention the key thing no one's talking about. The big deal here. Rivers. Kurt's left-handed. Rivers right-handed. What's up with that?
Okay.
You relearned how to play guitar? I'm sorry, but like...
I am so glad you mentioned that, actually, because there was... And I believe that we actually talked about this on our last conversation, because there actually... I totally forgot about that. Yeah, there's some things on this website that are actually missing from the initial theory, but one of the things is that Kurt Cobain was actually considered... He actually was somebody who was both right-handed and left-handed.
And dexterous?
Yes, exactly. And he chose to play left-handed as opposed to right-handed.
Okay, and now I remember my answer to that. My answer was, no left-handed motherfucker would do that to themselves. Everything left-handed in life is so much more expensive. The same guitar that you can play is going to cost me $500 to $600 more. No, if you could choose to play left or right-handed guitars, you would choose to play right because you could save so much more money and get more guitars.
Seriously?
I know that for a fact. So like, my guitars are so much more expensive only because they're left-handed. You can get the exact... They're not the same price.
They charge more for left-handed guitars.
Oh, yeah, because you have to redo all that shit.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not just like flipping it upside down; it's reversing the whole thing. So like a lot, like a $600 right-handed guitar is normally like $1,000 left-handed.
Wow, that would never. I never knew that.
EC1000 series, yeah, like an ESP EC1000. You could go get one for like $400 used. It would cost me like, well, actually, I bought one for $600 used because that was a good deal.
That's insane. I had no idea that was the situation. But yeah, so there you go. Nirvana. The Rivers Cobain, that was the website, right?
RiversCobain.com.
RiversCobain.com. And there's also, I mean, if you look this up, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's so many other, like, conspiracies out there. There's another one, too. Did you hear about the Kanye West, David Bowie conspiracy that popped up recently?
What would that even be?
So in the last, 3 years, this popped up. So, you know, the David Bowie album, Ziggy Stardust, and the Spiders from Mars.
Yeah.
So on that album cover, there's a whole thing, and I don't know. I'd have to, look it all up. But I don't know, you'll probably want to kind of discover this wonderland yourself when we get done here. But basically, in short, and what I remember about it, the biggest thing that I remember is that they're saying that David Bowie predicted Kanye West years earlier, because one of the pieces of evidence is that on the cover, and this is really kind of eerie, on the cover of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. If you look at the album cover, David...
Oh, no, looking it up right now.
Okay, there's actually a sign that says K West. Kanye West. That's one of the many things. There's actually a video Hold on a second. Let me try
I don't know if that means he. Yeah, no, it's right above him. I see it.
Yeah, K West.
But like it predicted Kanye West.
Well, yeah, and there's a video that I actually recommend you watch on YouTube. It's called the David Bowie and Kanye West Conspiracy Theory Explained. But right here from there's a Rolling Stone article. Yeah, so Kanye West wasn't wrong to appoint himself Yeezus back in 2013. Back in 1972, 5 years before he was even born. So yeah, David Bowie. And then also there's this whole thing that leads to like David Bowie's last album, Black Star. Like he was referring to Black Star was Kanye West. Like, yeah, dude, it's like, it's insane. No, I'm telling you though, you gotta read it, man.
Why wouldn't David Bowie have been like, yo, I predicted this?
Why is anything? Why do people do anything? I mean, it's, who knows? Like, maybe he was crazy. I don't know. I didn't know David Bowie. Like,
True. I like my conspiracies with a little bit of more juice to I don't know.
Well, no, but like what I recommend you do is I recommend that you just read the article or watch that video. Or just look up Kanye West and David. It's just like this Rivers Cuomo Cobain thing. It's just like, it's interesting, even if it's not true. It's still an interesting premise. It shows that there are people out there that really just they create. I mean, at the end of the day, how do we know any of this is true or not true? I mean, I'm gonna say probably, in all likelihood, probably not, but it's still an interesting story. You know what I mean?
True, very true.
And it's just I don't know. It's weird. Like that's how I always look at conspiracy theories. I always look at it as like, well, it's an interesting story anyway. It's an interesting premise, Yeah,
very true. I guess I just want the ones that maybe make me go like, oh fuck. Where like I'm not gonna lie, Rivers Cobain.
Yeah.
Didn't make me do that.
Well, yeah, no, actually, I would say that it's safe to say that most conspiracy theories I've heard of, at some point when I first hear them, they make me do that. I'm always like, oh shit, is there any truth to this? Is this, like
this
what?
A little dry. The evidence we had today. RiversCobain.com really didn't.
No, it really didn't. If anything, it kind of made me think, well, okay, what is this? What is his sources? You know what I mean? Like what?
Visual evidence page.
Well, I like how he was like, I like how, like you were saying, his main piece of evidence seemed to be that Kurt Cobain was somehow obsessed with himself. Like that right there is, because Kurt Cobain, if if you've seen the way Kurt Cobain acted in real life, like, well, I mean, none of us knew him personally, but when you saw an interview, he didn't seem like the guy who was totally like self-obsessed enough to be like, well, shit, I'm going to keep journals of my own songs and then study them.
Yeah.
Like, that definitely does seem absurd. For sure. Yeah, no, so, yeah, this has been fun. This has been great. I'm glad you did this with me, Alex.
Yeah, I'm glad I think take two was a lot better. I think we had a good...
I agree.
This was a lot more fun when we could look at the web pages together. And
I like the idea of, like, just talking about, things that... Just talking about a specific subject, Like, that's definitely how I'm going to approach this podcast for sure. So you're officially now the first guest on the podcast, Alex.
Nice. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Was super fun. Today was really fun.
Absolutely. So let's definitely let's get back on with the Alex Jones, Bill Hicks conspiracy.
Okay.
I'll do a little bit of research. In the meantime, you can definitely study up on that if you want.
Yeah, I would love to come a little bit more prepared.
There's countless YouTube videos about Alex Jones actually being Bill Hicks. And I'll tell you what, I have to admit, there's some convincing I would say there's more convincing. That one makes me go, way more than the Rivers Cobain one does.
All right. I'll do some research and we'll meet up. I got plenty of time.
All right, cool. And then also maybe we can also talk a little bit more about the David Bowie Kanye West one as well.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to hear more theory behind that.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry, go on. I interrupted you there.
Oh, no, the evidence is a little questionable.
Yes, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Crist from Closet Witch. Do you have anything else to add about Closet Witch before I let you go? Or anything else?
No, just stay healthy.
Yes.
If you don't want to go out, don't go out. Don't listen to your state. Be smart. And just be prepared. Be responsible.
Use common sense.
And that concludes my interview, conversation with Alex Crist of Closet Witch, Piss Exorcist, and other acts around the area. A really, really good time. Thank you for tuning in. I apologize for some of the audio that was cutting in and out. Some minor difficulties, but we'll work through it. I'm going to keep this going on, and audio problems are minor problems compared to what's going on in the world. So that's the way I look at it. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you're all safe and healthy, and I will see you next time.